Yes, welcome back. It's Leading Our Own Way. I'm your host, Andrew White. It's part 10. Can't believe it. End of 2 weeks with Josh Robinson. Been absolutely amazing. Loved Josh being in my life for the last 2 weeks. He's probably sick of me texting him, saying, how do you like it? How do you like it? Anyway, but today, coming to the close, a nice way to end such an inspirational episode with our guest Josh. We're going to look at how coping with grief and loss, when he lost somebody close to him that was a pivotal role model in his life, his grandfather. And we end the episode with great advice if anyone is considering coming out in their own way as well. I hope you get a lot out from this. If you want to reach out and contact Josh, all the information is on his Linktree link here in the show notes as well. If you are struggling, if you can connect to Josh's story and journey in any sort of way, please reach out to myself or to Josh. My email is andrew@leadingourownway.com, or you can go to the socials, Leading Our Own Way, all verified with the tick, so don't look at any other accounts if they've been made up. Please contact me that way, or the email as well. Josh is obviously around if you would like to speak to Josh personally. Anyway, here's Josh. Let's finish off the episode in a great inspirational way. Enjoy your weekend and come back next week for a new guest. Bye for now.
Oh, this is weird. Everyone else is really upset around me, but I'm not. Like, I was, but you know what I mean? I wasn't like outright crying. I didn't have this big moment. And then it just kind of hit me a little bit later in the time. But yeah, it teaches you a lot about yourself of like, what am I like as a human being? And like, what is grief to me? Because that's really the only time I've ever really gone through it. And it just taught me a lot about my resiliency and stuff like that. So I don't know. I was just relieved that he wasn't hurting anymore because I just really, really didn't want to see him like I did. Dementia sucks, people. If you've never had anyone go through it, it's truly quite awful, because to watch someone who just relies on themselves so much turn into someone that cannot do anything for themselves is like, oh man, it's not fun.
Look, I hope I can offer you some peace of mind with this, but you know, with dementia and things like Alzheimer's, you don't actually lose your memory. What happens is you lose access to your memory. So for the fact that he can't remember you, or you at least think he can't, he's just lost access to your memory, but he's lost access to the more recent memory which you were in. So, and he's remembering everybody else because they're the long-term memory that he's not actually had a major part. Well, I'm not saying he was never part of their life, but you were more prevalent in his life, and he's lost access to that part of his memory. But it comes across to you as he doesn't know who you are.
Yeah.
But it's because you were so prevalent in his life, he's just lost access to that part of his memory.
Yeah, no, I
If that
understand.
makes any sense.
I know what you mean, but I guess even with you saying that, like, I just remember that moment of just being like, oh boy, this isn't.
Yeah, of course,
great.
it's not easy
like,
to hear. Absolutely, I'm not taking that away, for sure.
No, it was just like, oh, okay, this is a weird feeling.
Yeah,
and I think I honestly, the reason I didn't immediately get upset is because I kind of a little bit emotionally detached from the whole situation to protect my own feelings. Because at that time of my life, like I said at the start, to circle things back, is I tried to avoid confrontation, and I don't just mean confrontation with other people, it's just like with myself, of like allowing myself to feel. Because sometimes you need to just feel. I'm a big proponent of that. Like someone like, I feel sad and I don't really want to feel sad. I'm like, I understand that, but sometimes you just need to feel sad. You need to cry. You need to do all these things. Like, it's normal human emotion to feel those kind of feelings. Sometimes I just allow myself, not saying all the time, of just being like, I'm going to sit on the couch, and if I start crying, that's okay. Because sometimes it's just about doing that and then just being like, okay, cool. I'm good now. Like, I just let that emotion be. But I was very much just like, put it in the box. No one needs to see this. Lock that. Throw away the key. So I think a lot of myself was just detaching myself from emotion because I didn't want to feel it. So I think that was a big part of it. But yeah, it was tough. Just because there had been so much celebration around that time. Like, my sister got married, birthday. Like, it was just, I don't know. There's just a lot of good energy around that time. And then that kind of like brought us back down to reality in a sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just, all I remember is that, like, I'm a very, like, I like being on my own. I very much am just like, I like that kind of like relying on myself feeling. Like, I've always just been like, I like being here. I like being on my own. I'll see people when I see them. I just remember that day, even if I wasn't feeling sad, I just wanted to be around people. So I was just very much like, I'm going to go see my mom, or I was going to go see my friend, of just like, I don't know, maybe it was a distraction in all honesty, but I just was very much like reliant on other people, which I'm not like that. I'm a very, very independent human being of just like, I've got myself to carry me through, but I just needed to be around other people in that time. But it sucked. No death is, I guess, easy, but yeah, it was just what it was.
It's important to sit in it. I think you had to do the right. I mean, I understand you want to box it up occasionally, but you've said it. You sitting in it is important. That's what allows you to navigate out of it in a really, really heavy way. We try and avoid sadness. We avoid anger in schools. Yeah. We keep telling people don't be angry. No. You're going to be angry at 60 years old. It's a survival emotion.
It's just normal. Like, some things piss you off, and that's, I think, okay. It's just how you react to that certain thing. I'm not saying when you're angry, go and punch someone in the face. I'm just saying, like, allow yourself to feel that feeling of being like, it's okay to feel a certain way about whatever in the world is making you feel this way. Like, I just think it's normal to feel emotions. It's just a part of the human experience. Like, people are just like, oh, I'm not an emotional person. I'm just always happy. I'm just like, okay, but you have to go through some kind of emotion at some point other than just being happy. Like, I just think that's a little bit unhealthy, to be completely, that's just my personal opinion, but
no, I agree.
It's just, I don't know, feel the feelings. Like, I'm not afraid of that confrontation with myself anymore, just being like, I'm a little bit down today. I'm just going to watch something that makes me feel comfort, and I'm just going to sit on the couch, and that's okay. Like, I'm not going to open my blinds today. I'm having a dark day. Like, those kind of days are okay. I think that honestly keeps me from blowing up and having those big reactions to things, because I'm just like feeling them at the time that they come to me.
Yeah, absolutely. I just, not going off the subject, but I've just flicked my eyes down, and I saw my favourite player in the back of the picture, Mr. Michael Jordan. I think you're going to know which picture I'm going to share now.
Oh, that's this thing over here. That's my little thing that I got from...
Oh, well, no, it's not this. Well, I'll show you the picture I'm referring to, right?
Yeah, I'm holding that in the picture. I'm holding this.
Oh, that's it. Yes, I see what you mean. Yeah.
I'm holding... So that right there is like probably one of the biggest times in my content world that I ever had, because 2K, the company that make NBA and the company that make WWE games, and they make a whole bunch of, sports games in the world, they kind of reached out to me, and they were like, hey, we know about your content. Would you like to come and play the new WWE game a couple of months early, and record some content? And I was like, well, yeah. So they flew me to Sydney, all expenses paid. They put me in a hotel. I got to go to the 2K offices in Sydney and play the game with like 5 other people that got chosen in Australia. And they made me that, which is like a thing in the game, like a card. Yeah. And that's just like a keepsake that I'll have forever.
Amazing.
It was like 2 days in Sydney, and they bought us food, and they took us all around the place, showed us around Sydney. We met the small 2K Australia team, and we just sat around on computers and recorded a bunch of stuff, and I met some other content creators, and I was like, that was like the first time that something like that had ever happened to me. And I didn't reach out for it. Like, they found me, and it was just like, I was like, what the hell? And we took a picture. Like, I have a picture of me with the guys and like the 2K people, like with the Harbour Bridge in the background, and it was just like, wow, this is kind of cool. And I had to be really secretive about it, because like you weren't allowed to tell everybody, because it was like there was like an NDA for it for a short amount of time, just because it wasn't out, like the game wasn't released or anything. So sure. I had to just be like, I'm going to Sydney work at this time. And they were like, what for? And I'm like, oh, I'm just having a trip. And it was like a 2-week window when they were like, we need you to be here at this date. And I'm like, oh my God, like I have a job. Like, I'm like, oh shit. All right, cool. I called in sick to work that day. I can say that now because I don't work there anymore, but I was like, I'm sick. And then I was just in Sydney for 2 days. But like, I couldn't tell anyone, so I couldn't even tell my work that I'm like, I'm going to do this, because I wasn't allowed to. So it was a wild experience. It was so cool. It was just like, well, if I die tomorrow, this is something nice just to like go out on, isn't it? Because this was just
so good.
2K.
That's so
It's
good.
like people know 2K, and I'm like, well, this is
Yeah,
something
they
I
do.
can brag about.
Absolutely.
And I did, trust me. My poor Facebook friends were probably like, shut up. And I'm like, well, here's a picture from when that time I went to Sydney and together. They're like, yeah, you went 4 months ago. We know.
Hilarious. Hilarious. Well, if I've got 3 final questions then for you, Josh. If we've missed anything from your journey that needs to be shared and you feel that we've not covered it, what would that be, if anything?
No, I think we got through everything. I'm pretty certain. I don't think there's anything I left out. I kind of nailed the points that I thought I would.
Good. Well, in that case then, there'll be viewers out there that have been through or going through or know somebody that's going through something you may have done in many areas, whether it's abuse, there's coming out, there's many facets to your journey that you can benefit millions of people. And I want to use that word millions because there will be millions out there. We just have to find them or they need to find us. What piece of advice would you give to those people that might need you today?
I think I'll just probably, no surprise that I'll probably stick to the coming out stuff just because it's the single biggest thing that I ever did and will ever do in my life, just on a personal note.
Mm-hmm.
I just think if there's someone out there that is maybe going, I don't think I'm ever going to get to a spot where I can come out, don't rush it. Because I looked at the world and I looked at so many people being like coming out and I'm like, I should do that. That'll give me gratification. It'll give me this instant feeling of relief. And sure, those words are probably words that I'd use when I did come out. But you will know in your heart when it's your time to do it. Don't let all these days of like Pride Month and, International Coming Out Day or all these things that are kind of going around in the world now as like, oh, I better hurry up and do this. You'll know. And I don't think there's ever a point I got to where I was truly like, quote unquote, ready. It was just as ready as I ever would have been. So if you're feeling that way of like this kind of social pressure, even if it's just in your own brain, or society pressure or anything like that of like, I better do this, you'll know when it's time, and it might be tomorrow, it might be in 5 years, but just don't allow yourself just to do it just to fulfill what you think that the other people in the world need to know. Is like, you'll know, and it's for you. It's not for anybody else. It's just for you.
Yeah. Great piece of advice, Josh. Love it. I think that's really sensible, simple piece of advice that people need to take on. Because I think you're right. Those days where they come up with the Pride days or the coming out days, and you can translate that to Be Kind Day. Are you okay? These are days that should just exist every day.
Yeah.
I know people should say, well, we've got to acknowledge it. Yeah, we should, but from the point you wake up to the point you wake up. Right?
I don't think I'm glad that these things exist and I understand why they exist, but I just think they are very commercialized things now. It's just a way for companies and stuff to be like, we care about you. I'm like, I'm breathing 365 days of this year. Don't just care about me in June. Care about everybody. And I understand why they do, and you should celebrate these things, but I don't know. All I've always wanted is to feel normal. I don't want to feel special. I'm not special just because I like men. I'm just myself. I just want to, the word is equality. I just want to be treated like you. I want to be treated like, my neighbor. Like, I don't want to be treated differently, for better or for worse.
Absolutely. If I always ask the guests a simple question, and I think it usually is pretty obvious during the episode of what it is, but I ask the guest to put it into a very simple line. Josh, what do you think your purpose is in life?
Just to be myself.
Beautiful. Well, anyone out there who is listening to you, Josh, if you want, I'd love to put all your details. If anyone would love to reach out, or even just follow your content, see what you're about, and if anyone wants to reach out for advice and reach out to you personally, are you happy for me to put your details in all the show notes so people can contact you?
Do that
down below in the comments, or ask questions in the comments. If you want to do it privately, get into touch with you privately. I always try and get people to engage with the guests as well and reach out. Some guests have even got customers if that's what it's related related to in their journey. They've got, breathwork customers, or they've got hypnotherapy customers and things like that who I've had on as previous guests. And some of you have even gone out and bought the books too. So if anyone's going to get in contact with Josh, please do look at his content. It is hilarious. If you do want to laugh, I laugh. I actually recently enjoyed one of your posts where you were sharing a picture of when you were young, and you was like, "Look the fuck at me," or something like that. Back in the day, I can't remember the exact words you used, but it was. I remember laughing. On
Probably
TikTok.
a picture of me with my ugly bowl cut, and I was like, "Oh man, look how far I've come." Jesus, if I can do it, you can do it, buddy. Jesus.
Josh, it's been a pleasure, mate. Thank you so much for joining me on Leading Our Own Way podcast. Thanks for joining me on my journey. Thank you for being vulnerable. I hope you felt safe in doing so. And I hope you enjoyed yourself, more importantly.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
No, it's been a pleasure. Absolute pleasure. For everybody else, please come back next week for another amazing guest who's going to join and share how they're leading their own way. Take care for now, and we will speak to you next week, guys. Have a great week.
Thanks for listening and watching Leading Our Own Way. So we can stay together forever and share more incredible journeys, please subscribe to the channel. That way you won't miss next week's episode and what that amazing guest has to offer to the world. Please support Leading Our Own Way, and we'll get you on next week's episode.